I've had two comedy heroes in my life, Norm Macdonald and Nick DiPaolo.
Nick DiPaolo, everybody!
Nick DiPaolo!
Give it up for Nick DiPaolo!
Nick DiPaolo!
Holy
Now, in every industry, there's often a person who people think is the man, right? The person who gets the accolades or the push, as it's called in some entertainment industries. And then behind the scenes, there's the guy. In the world of stand-up comedy, for decades, that guy is Nick DiPaolo. Nick DiPaolo is not only one of the longest-standing veterans in the industry, he's the guy who some of the world's most famous comedians still call when they need help writing jokes, to this day.
Ooh, we have a videotape of Trump saying he likes to grab pussies. But Hillary doesn't?
Africa's given some good Ebola, AIDS, L. Sharpton, all the things in life that I love.
Nick DiPaolo has always reviled the left, political correctness, or what we know today as cancel culture. He was canceled, fired really, before that term exists, from his own radio show at Sirius XM when a Latinx professor at Fresno State was joy tweeting that Barbara Bush had died. Nick DiPaolo did what he does best. He wrote this tweet in response: "Dear future school shooters, please confine yourselves to college campuses, specifically faculty lounges at Berkeley, Fresno State." It was funny then, and it's funny now. And he was fired, and he never changed.
I told her I thought she should bleach her asshole. She agreed and threw a cup of Clorox in my face. This is going on TV.
Now you know who you came to see. That's right, sir. Don't clap. You couldn't even think that joke up in a million years.
I had a great time. I can't thank you people enough for coming out. I f***ing love you. Thank you so much. Let's do it again. What do you say, huh?
It may not mean nothing to y'all, but understand nothing was done for me, so I don't plan on stopping at all. My club is forever mine, ever. Getting hits bigger than all. Big tech just can't keep up with me. I just love watching them fall. My club is forever mine.
Hey, got Mud Club in the building. Ain't no question who about to trigger him. I only have good streams, big fame, big names. I get more clicks in one night than in your week's game. Yeah. We go hard, no fall like your ratings. CNN Plus didn't even make it through spring. We've all seen your story, no glory. Cuomo groping interns, you could call it statutory. When my knee blew up, didn't stop nothing for me. Old man, new dad, Crowder, what? Nothing. It's super sad you two give me no loving. You would think I had traps like Barack's husband. Why they always gotta screw me when they really doesn't? Got that notey bell working? No, it fucking doesn't. We're led by such fucking losers. Muckleb gonna kick you in your ass, pooper. Trade the subplaques just to get the movement back. Remember we had the lips rabid like a dog pack? Follow the tards, it'll turn you to a maniac. Forget fucking Hollywood, they can't even act. Pull the wrong pronouns out, hot damn they snap. Been working for this forever, try to pry it back. Ha.
It may not mean nothing to y'all, but understand nothing was done for me, so I don't plan on stopping at all. My club is forever mine, ever. Getting hits bigger than all. Big tech just can't keep up with me. I just love watching them fall. My club is forever mine, ever.
Okay, hello, it's the Colbert. No jokes, clapter. Never-ending crap like a bowl at Olive Garden. Laughter's not the target. Appeasing violent markets. Like Stelter with the pecker when he sees it, got a scarf. And Kimmel never stops crying like a tiny tot. Living in his gated mansion, bitching about the cops. So many crocodile tears, bitch, he needs a mop. But what did he cry for? Painted his face dark. My mind's fine even when the times seem dark. Walther on my side, you don't wanna hear that thing talk. Let the king talk, stream and rumble, go and click it. Now we got a whole team so we all can kick it. It's like Texas in the middle of the summer. It's hotter than in hell, leftists needs a umbrella. Shh, don't wake the sleeping giants ass. Election season about to be your motherfucking bloodbath.
It may not mean nothing to y'all, but understand nothing was done for me, so I don't plan on stopping at all. My club is forever mine, ever. Getting hits bigger than all. Big tech just can't keep up with me. I just love watching them fall. My club is forever mine, ever mine, ever mine.
There they go, packing theaters as we come to spit the jokes. Nuts they go, triggering leftists. Anyone know how to score some coke? Some colored blow a Colombian
Cut.
gold.
Not yet. I said cut, huh? Hey, I'm gonna let you finish. But, nah, I can't let him finish. We got
Come
something.
on.
Ha!
Had a fever dream last night. This is the peak fever. I have a fever like 102. You guys remember that Vietnamese or Korean Mariah Carey karaoke artist? Touch my body, lay me on the floor, I'll be all up on you.
I do,
You
but
treat me like a fever like 102. Remember him?
102,
Anyway,
yeah.
that's why I fear not the Asians. So today we have a lot on the show. We have Kari Lake on the show today.
Yeah.
Let's bring up the top sheet. Just so we have This Week in Biden. We have some media malpractice at play from the New York Post, which we'll get into. And of course, this is a big dynamic right now. Is Governor Abbott? He's a wheelchair guy taking on the feds at the border. Also, really, he's wreaking havoc. He's taking his revenge on trees.
it's not all trees.
But it really is a dynamic of when people say, "Hey, what's the legitimate purview of federal government?" If you're talking about federalism versus statism or socialism. And I know people hear federalist and they don't. But if you're a federalist and you believe in limited federal government, is there a role for the federal government that is appropriate? Of course. What is that role? We always try and make it pretty clear. Certainly, secure borders would be one. So my question, there you go. You already put up comment. Is if the federal government refuses to do its job, do you think that states have a moral and ethical, not only right, obligation to take matters into their own hands? So we'll be talking about that, and hopefully my voice sounds a little more sexy. Now, at some point today, I'm going to start talking breathlessly like a fat guy because I can't breathe through my nose. I noticed I was talking with a lawyer last night on the phone, and I was like,
yeah.
She's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I just went up the stairs and I can't breathe and I'm talking." CEO number 2, Captain Morgan, how are you?
I'm doing well, sir. I mean, I was going to ask you how you're doing, but you already told us. So
That's fine.
I just want you to get better.
It's on the way. It's a fever and stuff, so I have to stay away from people. I don't want to be contagious.
How did you like Forever?
It's fine. And then
He says it's fine. I love it.
And
What are you talking about?
And then in third chair, when you hear this, couple things. May 11th, Count Basie Center in Red Bank, New Jersey. Go and see him because this is, he's the funniest stand-up. He's the funniest man alive. And then Mug Club right now. If you haven't signed up yet, you get tonight, 8 p.m., this special tribute, the catalog of the best of Nick DiPaolo. It lives nowhere else outside of Mug Club right now. And eventually, we'll release some of it, I think, on Rumble. But right now, Mug Club, it's a love letter to you. You get to see what he's all about. It is the OG Nick DiPaolo. How are you?
Very good, thank you. And thank you for doing that, seriously.
I appreciate it.
I know it goes through picking bits, and I could never do it.
It's tough. It's
Nick,
tough.
You put a gun to our head and said, if you don't
It's
do
true,
this,
he
I'm
did.
not coming back.
That's not my style, bitch.
You hooked your nipples up to car batteries.
True.
Well done, thank you.
And then Nick has a funny, we will get into it later, not so funny story about when he was escorted from his favorite establishment.
Physically.
You know what? We'll ease into it,
Unbelievable.
Nick. But if he seems like he's in a bad mood, rightfully so. Yeah. Rightfully so. He almost fought a black guy. But yesterday, Joe Biden...
Boy, you know how to tease. It had nothing to do with color.
Well, I've been told that. Just ask Gay William.
Ended up that way.
So yesterday, former Vice President Joe Biden, respect the office, he spoke at a rally that was kind of centered around abortion, and he had some pretty harsh words for Donald Trump, but of course some fantastic supportive words for women. because he likes those. Mm-hmm. If they're young enough. So that brings us to another installment of This Week in Biden.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
We'll teach Donald Trump a valuable lesson. Don't mess with the women in America unless you want to get the benefit. Look.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
I love how he always says look, and that doesn't help. It only makes it worse.
It's like,
look at me!
It's a marker to dig here. If you missed the other part of the speech before look, you're like, he said, look, I'm going back.
Yes, exactly.
It's so funny. Even if he had strung that sentence together in an intelligible way, don't mess with the women of this country unless you want to get the benefit, is what he actually said.
So that's why I continually mess with them.
I
like women benefits.
I don't understand the admonition, not to mess with them. I'm like, I don't understand. Yeah. Where are you going, Joe?
Don't mess put it in the 401k unless you want to get more out of it. Well, I guess I'll do that. No! Look! I did look. It's a 6% match. So hit the like button if you can't wait to see President Donald Trump and former Vice President Biden go head to head. That is it's something I'm really looking forward. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Can you imagine if he does that in the debate? Like, Trump would be ready to pounce live.
Like, look, gross. What are you about to say, Nick?
Biden's so full of shit. He's the only president that ends every sentence with no joke.
Yeah, I know.
Everybody, thinks you got to be joking. You're out of your fucking mind.
Right.
No joke.
It's like a car mechanic. He's like, look, I'm going to be honest with you. You're like, I know that means you're not.
Exactly. Yeah. It's the first.
I'm about to get screwed, so.
Look, let me tell you the truth. Your business is always welcome here, Nick, at your favorite drinking establishment.
Yeah.
Hey, hold on. It's a little bit of a crazy morning here. Josh Firestein, obviously, who's here full time. Does anyone know where?
Yeah, I think he
where he is.
He might have gotten in a car wreck.
Was he?
Yeah,
he was on his way.
Yeah,
still stuck in traffic.
Yeah.
Where in the world is Josh? Josh.
Oh, he got Halloween tooed.
I don't know who hit him.
Nobody. It just happened.
It's very sensitive bags.
You ever had an airbag go off?
No.
They hurt.
Have you had an airbag go off?
No, but I heard they hurt.
Oh my gosh, me and Johnny Boy, it happened in an old Jeep. These were not friendly airbags. These were airbags with a point to prove. And we were both. Our faces were burned. We were both unconscious.
Haven't people been killed by those things?
Yes. They just go off sometimes.
Where do I get one? Honey?
By the way, hey, if at some point today we will have Kari Lake on, if you're watching on YouTube, head on over to Rumble, please, because there's a lot of stuff that can't actually be broadcast on YouTube. So if at any point today you see this, it just means go to Rumble. We're not going to self-censor, but we are going to try and, make sure that our channels on YouTube aren't permanently removed. Okay. Anything else? Media malpractice. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about something important. New York Post.
No, I thought you said important.
Is everyone here?
All but one.
I'm going anyway. So this, the legacy media, they're constantly messing up. And I hate to even use the term legacy because they have none. But we always want to highlight it so that you can see the sleight of hand that takes place. So it's time for this week's installment of Media Malpractice. I always love seeing that CNN lady with the hairy forearms in there.
That was a woman?
She's a babe.
The one who has the hairy forearms. I don't know her name.
Caitlin Collins.
Caitlin Collins.
I think.
Babe Ruth.
She has hairy forearms.
Wolfman.
Sarah Silverman.
All right. So let's set this up for you. Yesterday, the New York Post, they ran an article titled, "A whopping 1/3 of Gen Z shoppers admit they prefer self-checkout kiosks so they can shoplift." Okay. So a couple of
Gen Z or Jay-Z?
I don't think they have self-checkout in Tribeca.
That was a home run.
Now I'm shoplifting right next to De Niro. That's his thing.
I love that song.
Yeah, it is.
I absolutely love this.
Right. Welcome to New York. Only now you have to step over the hobo shit.
Yeah, let's rewrite that.
We have one. We'll put you in an Alicia Keys wig.
Put me in her.
Oh.
Come on now.
Oh, stop it.
Come on
Father of the
now.
cloth
You
over
obviously
there.
have not seen recent Alicia Keys.
That's
but
right, yeah.
Gerald is like Merlin Olsen.
Father Time is undefeated. So here's the thing. Let me ask you where you think this segment is going. Probably not. I want to clarify something here. A lot of people on the right, they'll give credit where it's not due. Like the New York Post, for example, they have been incredibly left for a very long time. They are unbelievably biased. You see what they're doing right now, trying to prop up Nikki Haley. And a lot of conservatives think that New York Post is an ally because of the Hunter Biden story.
Right.
Look, that was a scoop that they had to run, and then, of course, they had to make hay with it. That does not mean that the New York Post has your back. So here, Gen Z, these shoppers prefer self-checkout kiosks so they can shoplift. Okay, the article contained a photo of exactly one human being. Okay, right here. We're blurring it out. So let's take a poll here. A little bit of time if you're in Mug Club chat.
Unbelievable.
What kind of person do you all think the New York Post chose to represent the shoplifting? Take us. Wrong.
Oh my God.
And by the way, I really just thought it was going to be a white guy, and that would be offensive enough.
I did too.
And she's not even Gen Z. It's an older Asian lady. She could be 80 for all we know.
It's gotta be
but
X.
she's clearly at least millennial.
Yeah.
Probably Gen X.
Yeah.
She's probably listening to Pearl Jam on this thing. So she's
What that does, though, is the next time a black guy knocks an old Asian lady out, see, it's sort of like saying she had it coming.
Yes, exactly. That's what they do.
Shoplifting.
These are the real. So let me just give you some brief crime, because and Nick DiPaolo has had some bits about this, so this is right up his alley. But let's give you some 2022 crime stats, okay? Larceny, and this is largely theft, in case you guys don't know. Larceny, not necessarily the grand variety. So who makes up the demographic as far as larceny in the United States? White people, 43%, okay, with 863,000. Black people, 28%, that's 13% of the population. Asian people, 0.8. 0.8. Let me go to robbery really quick.
Wait a minute, 0.8 as far as larceny or the percentage of
larceny.
Yeah, the percentage of larceny that is committed by
0.8.
Asians is 0.8%.
Unbelievable.
Or as the New York Post says, the lead.
The only one.
It's always that Chinese guy in the boat with the girls in bikinis at 2 in the morning.
Yes.
He's responsible for most.
Yes, exactly. He's the one who just gets
The real estate
rips
guy.
stuff off at Walgreens. So robbery, okay, white people, 28%, 55,000. Black people, 57%, 110,000. Asians, 0.7%.
Oh my
now,
goodness.
there's some more numbers here that matter. Women commit about 39% of larceny offenses. That means that if you add all of this up, a whopping 0.3% of thievery crimes are committed by people who look like this. 0.3%. 0.3%. How is that not discrimination? You had to seek this picture out, and that woman wasn't even doing anything. Think about if I was that, I'd be super. Unless she was committing a crime, she should sue the New York Post.
It's still better than putting a white guy up there.
I mean,
I don't know.
I'm just saying the beating would take it lately.
Yeah, that's true.
But in context. But
Although
yeah.
in New York, the Asians have taken their fair share.
Oh boy, have they ever.
And that's but they say stop Asian hate. Let's show you a criminal. She was actually I bet you she rounded up for the starving kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, here's some of the other articles, by the way, at New York Post, just as misleading. Here's one, a recent study that showed Gen X fathers are more involved with their kids than any previous generation. Come on now. Now, here's my an audio that won't make
any sense at all.
Not at all.
Let me ask you, which legacy media outlet do you think is the worst out there, okay? And this is an important, when you do this and you don't make people aware of reality. In other words, you don't acknowledge crime statistics, especially in places like New York with the basically no cash bail and catch and release. And of course, this has resulted in actual people being victimized violently, from a huge portion of Asian Americans in New York to Rick Moranis. Remember that? Mm-hmm. When you lie about it, when you try and create these or protect certain victim classes, you create actual victims. And this is just like what Nick has brought up. You look at these stats, it's not even close. How many more times are you going to have to see an article like this or another home security or alarm commercial with a white guy who breaks in?
You're home. When did you get...
With Simply Safe, protecting your home is a snap. Protection against burglary? Easy. Fire? That kind of security can really let you relax.
Dad, I'm trying to relax here.
Yeah, that's what we fear.
What? I got a ring. What are we supposed to do? Well,
tell you what I'd do. I'd start running.
let's maybe just...
Now, gentlemen,
okay,
hustle!
Go.
If I were you, I would turn around.
Yeah.
In fact, if I were you, I'd turn around and go home. Because this can only end badly for you. Don't even try it. That's what I thought. ADT, and I'm always there.
Look, here's the thing. Let's just be honest about it. You'll say, oh, that's racist. Yeah, where would we be able to pull out these statistics? Hey, black people watching right now, comment. How often are you afraid that white people are going to break into your house in a black neighborhood? How often do you run into that occurrence? Let's be really clear about this. I would get it if it's every now and then. Yeah. When was the last time you saw someone who was black, who was someone who actually made up the crime statistics as far as these violent break-ins? You know, the George Floyd types actually we want equal representation, just not with the criminals.
It seems like the most obvious point to make, but it's like, no. Do you think they picked on the Asian because they're like, they won't say anything about this? They're like,
they're not going to start a march.
Do anything.
But they have to take it even a step further. First of all, the criminals are white, but the guy protecting the nice white suburban house is a black dude.
Right. Yes.
It's one thing but to make it the exact opposite. I know not every time I have people already in my fucking head, but it's like they're rubbing your nose in it. Right. Look at the big black. First of all, to make that real, he should have been in the kitchen already. That white guy came into that was their house.
Right.
He's got no shirt on. The white guy's girlfriend has a fat.
But
hit the dump button.
No, it's fine. We don't
Are we done with those cock-sucking YouTubers?
Hey, Nick, tell everyone why you're so mad. Guys, look, tell everyone why you're so upset. What went down last night?
I just didn't sleep well. That's got nothing to do with the incident last night.
Who hurt you?
Yeah, Nick, who hurt you?
I'm just saying, if you're in the Plano... give me another town around here.
Dallas, Houston.
Yes,
there's a bunch of them.
Yeah, if you go to Union Bear, be careful, because I've got food poisoning 3 times at the Union Bear, and I walked by the kitchen. There was the weirdest smell coming out. I don't know if it was the chefs or they might have skinned a goat back there and left it behind the refrigerator for a year. And I had the shits again last night. So Union Bear, sort of near Granite Park, that one is, be careful. I 3 times. I drink a lot there, but 3 times I've had the foot right through me, and I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, all right.
That's why I'm a little cranky.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. It's, hopefully it's just a 24-hour bug.
Yes, that was dropped in my soup.
Yes.
By some disgruntled person who doesn't care for the people who lean right in their politics.
Oh,
it's just a theory.
Okay, well, you know what?
Yeah,
I'll get more out of you later. We'll talk about Mug Club. Which, by the way, hey, you can join Mug Club for $9 a month right now. You go mugless, but you get it for $9 a month if you want to try it. Of course, if you actually join Mug Club annually with $89, you get the hand-etched, hand-painted mug, and you get Nick DiPaolo's special today on Mug Club only. All right, let's go to Greg Abbott, who's taking on the feds, and he's a wheelchair guy. So,
yes.
Again, my question
can't push him around
to you.
Yeah, you can. That's exactly what you can do.
As long as there's consent.
Somebody sliced his tires last night.
Well, he was rubbing it in their faces. You don't get white walls. We all know you're wealthy.
I just wondered which one of them was going to hit it out of the park.
You ever see him when he gives a good speech? He does donuts.
He just parks against the wall and burns.
Well, he's getting applause. He does donuts like a NASCAR guy. They just run.
He does a burnout.
You don't need the hydraulics. That's what I said, DHS.
Yeah, lowrider.
Da, 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 da.
We out, Snoop. Crippled.
And just to be clear, all pretty big fans of Greg Abbott.
yes, absolutely.
He has won me over.
But,
I never knew. A couple of years ago, I was, no pun intended, on the fence.
Yes.
Seriously. But now, I mean, at least when this, immigration shit, he plays hardball.
Yeah, he does. He does play hardball. Yeah. You know what? It directly affects. This is a guy. This is what governors are for.
That's right.
And you can cut. He needs to represent the people of his state. But he should have more power than the president as far as serving the people of his state. You can hit the like button, share if you agree. I understand a lot of libertarians out there. They believe in such limited government that they don't think the border issue is one where it's appropriate for the federal government to step in. I completely disagree because it affects all citizens of this country. However, if you are a border state, as Texas is, I think you're well within your right to take things into your own hands. So we have basically a constitutional crisis taking place in Texas. So Greg Abbott, Governor Wheelchair guy, he defied the Supreme Court and will not allow Border Patrol to remove the razor wire. They'd put up razor wire, and then the Supreme Court said, you can't stop them cutting it down. Sorry, he put up, let me just be really clear. Governor Abbott said, all right, we're going to put up some razor wire here because we have a border crisis and you're not doing anything about it. Then you had Border Patrol cutting the razor wire off. Greg Abbott sued, said, no, we're not going to do that. Got punted. Supreme Court said, hold on a second, actually. They can still continue to cut the razor wire until this case, is seen to the end. And that's also a problem because you're supposed to have your right to a speedy trial. That does not take place in this country. It puts this Biden administration in a serious bind. So let me kind of give you the ins and outs here and why I hope that other states follow suit. This is a good example. This is a good example when you say, what can people do? Well, governors can do this, and you can hold your elected officials accountable because they are there to serve you. So despite a 5-4 Supreme Court ruling, against the state of Texas, Greg Abbott is going to continue, and we have a clip, fortifying the southern border.
The very latest on the border right now, the crisis in a standoff over the use of razor wire. Today, new video shows even more razor wire being put in along a contested section of the U.S. Mexico border. This is happening even after the Supreme Court on Monday voted to let federal Border Patrol agents remove all of that wire. The razor wire was installed as part of Texas Governor Greg Abbott's security initiative at the border known as Operation Lone Star. The Biden administration arguing now the razor wire prevents Border Patrol agents from doing their job.
Now, just to be fair, before we move on, in the spirit of full disclosure, some detractors have a point in pointing out, they have a legitimate criticism that this may just be another ploy by Big Bic. So that's something that, look, everyone stands to profit. But two things can be true.
Yes. That is true. Yeah. You got to make some money and secure the border at the same time. I love that his stance was like, gosh, I can't say those words. I love that his position. Unintended, sorry.
His wheelie.
His position is basically like, all right, you can cut it. We're just going to keep adding it. Like, you didn't say anything. There's nothing in the rule book about adding more razor wire. I just love that he's like, it's a big middle finger.
Needs more razor wire.
Yeah. I got
the first blade lifts the whisker. The second one cuts the immigrant's throat.
Yes, exactly. Fewer strokes.
This is the Colombian necktie version of Bic.
So yesterday afternoon, and today is Thursday. Thursday or Wednesday? Thursday. Abbott declared the state under invasion, invoking Texas's constitutional right to defend itself. Let me read this for you. It says, the failure of the Biden administration to fulfill the duties imposed by, that was his wheel.
I saw you.
To fulfill the duties imposed by Article 4, Section 4, has triggered Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3, which reserves to the state the right to self-defense. For these reasons, I have already declared an invasion under Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3 to invoke Texas's constitutional authority to defend and protect itself. Netflix has already secured a documentary, The Rights and the Works. We've obtained an early copy of the poster. I would see that. Take it. He's like, trees, motherfucker. Still mad at the trees. Just in a briar patch. Like, that's a bush. I don't give a fuck.
It's gonna fall on somebody.
Love Greg Abbott.
Mexicans stole my hubcaps.
Yes. You didn't need spinners. So in the statement, Abbott also referenced Alexander Hamilton, who specifically foresaw these, the dangers of a rogue president. And I know you're thinking the gay play. No. So actual Hamilton said, if the federal government should overpass the just bounds of its authority and make a tyrannical use of its powers, the people must take such measures to redress the injury done to the Constitution as this is one of those words going to be exigency may suggest and prudence justify. I'm still winded because I can't breathe through my nose. So let me be clear about this. This is, and all references are available at louderwithcreditor.com, link in the description. This is what the invasion, as it's described currently in Texas, looks like. Yeah, Joe.
Interesting. In that last picture there was something impeding their progress in breaking the law.
Simply Safe?
No.
Oh.
A wall. It seems like it was doing its job. In one frame, they were sitting by the said wall that was keeping them from breaking the law and entering the United States illegally. In another one, they're walking down to see where the wall stops.
Yeah, exactly.
So they can come across to enter the United States illegally. And by the way, just remember, last month we broke an all-time record with over 300,000 encounters. That doesn't mean that 300,000 people tried to get into the United States and did it successfully. Just encounters.
Yeah.
It's a multiple of that are actually getting through. How in the world can he say you can't put razor wire because it keeps us from being able to do our job? No, the razor wire, in fact, does your job. It's like the automatic checkout kiosk.
Well, let me be reductive here because this does matter. There are more slaves than ever on Earth, right, than ever in recorded history. We've talked about this. A lot of them are sex slaves. Hundreds of thousands of sex slaves being transported across the border. We have a piece coming up next week, specifically as it relates to the Communist Chinese Party using the open borders. There is no doubt about that. So, razor wire, deterrent. As you see, these folks are trying to avoid a wall, let alone if they get up there and they see a few Bic razors, they're going to try and take another direction. Or sex slaves, drug cartels, human trafficking. You do have a choice. I know it sucks to look at razor wire that looks like a bat boomerang, but you go, hey, it stops people from transporting sex slaves across the border. It stops these coyotes from stealing children from their parents. This is a choice that you have to make. Having an open border and not enforcing it is supremely immoral. I'm sorry. Do not let the left take the moral high ground anymore. They have it absolutely nowhere. Let me give you a quick rundown of this so you understand the timeline. Okay, the Supreme Court ruling. So, Texas, this is what happened. They sued to stop the Border Patrol agents from cutting their razor wire. They said, we're putting up razor wire. Border Patrol said, can't do that, cut it. Texas sued, said, no, you can't cut down our razor wire. Fifth Circuit agreed, said, hey, Border Patrol agents, you can't cut the razor wire. Then the DHS appealed it, right? Went to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court said that, hey, Border Patrol, you can cut the wire while this case is still pending. Now, keep in mind, still pending. Remember, this is what happened when Biden, he knew it was unconstitutional. We had student loan forgiveness. Mm-hmm. And then we had rent forgiveness. He's like, yeah, I know the Supreme Court's going to strike it down in a few months, but for now, well, guess what happens in that period of a few months? Landowners, mom and pop landlords who own a few properties, they're underwater and they lose their properties because other people don't have to pay rent. That's what happens. There are real victims, real consequences. The good news is, as that case was pending, BlackRock and Vanguard are quick to scoop them all up. So this is an abuse of the legal system, just like we saw with January 6th, people who were imprisoned for years when they were not convicted at the end of these. Well, as long as this is pending, how long will this be pending? And that means the Supreme Court says, you can keep cutting the razor wire. So Texas is left exposed.
Yeah, well, you're raping a woman. No, but she consented. Well, we don't know that yet. You keep going until we figure it out.
Exactly, yes. Keep going.
It's good. It's and they know that, and that's why they do it.
Right.
I mean, obviously.
It's an abuse of the system. It absolutely is. And it's something that's used quite a bit, actually. You have a lot of lawyers, a big part of their techniques are just kick it, punt it. Let's get some kind of an extension. This happens all the
things
time.
Down the road.
Just think of what they've done with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Where they've changed statutes of limitations so that they could go after him and then extend, by the way, what they do with Hunter Biden so that it doesn't come into, I don't know, maybe midterm, primaries. This is the kind of stuff that they do. There are many tools at their disposal. So when people talk about a rigged system, you're not just talking about voting machines. This is one that is important. There's also a lot of precedent for this, by the way, as far as defying the courts when you're talking about a tyrannical government. And Gerald, you're obviously the resident historian.
Well, and this is more about, it's defying the courts, but it's also defying the federal government if they are overreaching into states' rights, like legitimate territory. So 1832 Worcester versus Georgia.
Love the sauce.
Case, yes, not Worcestershire, close. The case was centered on Georgia's right to make laws regarding kind of tribal land. I think it was the Cherokee Nation that they were talking about inside there. And Governor Wilson Lumpkin, governor of Georgia, he refused, citing federal overreach, saying you guys can't tell us what to do here. And the case is where President Jackson's quote supposedly came from. John Marshall has made his decision. Now let him enforce it. Now, what I really want to highlight in these two examples is that this is an extreme measure. This is something that highlights a tension that is going on around the country, not just a specific state doing this. And we'll get into how this impacts Texas in a second. This was right before secession. Like, this was when people were talking about it, and it was just another example of the federal government telling states what they can do and saying, you know what, we're not going to do our job. We're going to reach until you had to do your job, by the way, and it pisses people off. The other one in 1963, University of Alabama.
By the way, the secession movement in the South started like that same year.
Yeah, it was that same year that it happened, right? So 1963, University of Alabama desegregation, kind of this famous case where JFK federalized the National Guard. Remember that, federalize the National Guard. You might hear that for Texas, to stop Alabama Governor George Wallace from preventing desegregation at the University of Alabama. And here's the famous clip from that.
Yes.
The consequences of your stand must rest with you. The choice is yours. I would ask you once again to responsibly step aside. And if you do not, I'm going to assure you that the orders of those courts will be enforced.
Why is a police officer in a hard hat?
Well, you never know.
You don't really see that very often, do you?
No.
It's protective gear. It's a helmet. They didn't have, as good helmets back then, so they look like hard hats. Do you know what happened later that year? Anybody notice the date? June
yeah, they
23rd,
replaced it with a police hat.
Yes. June 23rd, 1963.
What happened?
JFK was shot later that year.
Oh,
so
well, that's...
and I'm not tying these two things together necessarily. What I'm saying is there is a big kind of movement of people frustrated at the federal government for either overreaching or not doing their job the way that they should.
Yeah.
And that it's a big deal what's going on in Texas right now. This may be one of the biggest things that happens for states' right because of some of the other support that you've got obviously coming in for the state of Texas from all over the country.
I think we're at the point where, go, Nick.
Isn't there a 10th Amendment? Isn't that the federalism thing where the responsibilities of
I mean, there's
the feds can't get that picked up by the states?
Right.
How come it's not being mentioned?
Well, the federal government is supposed to, in a statement from one of the supporters here, Ron DeSantis from Florida, right? We'll get to it in a second. But in his statement, he's basically saying, like, they never would have signed on to join the union if this was not there. We will protect our borders. If Mexico invades, you're coming to our defense.
If you don't have borders, you don't have a union. And this is, I do think that at some point in our lifetime, we are headed for some kind of national divorce or some kind of
organization.
I think it needs, because look, let's be honest here. Your tax dollars right now, you're in Texas, you're in the state of Florida, end up going to pay for crap in San Francisco and California that you don't support, you have nothing to do with, and those people actively fight against you. We don't share the same fundamental values anymore. We really don't. We're really at the point where it doesn't make sense, especially if they're not even going to protect the borders. What kind of a union do you have? Genuinely curious if you think, for the first time, I believe, in our lifetime, we are headed for that.
I think we definitely are headed for that. And you did a Change My Mind on this. I don't know when you did it, but I'm wearing the shirt. Secure Our Border, Change My Mind. Go get it at CrowderShop.com.
You say Shakira Our Border?
Yes,
Secure Our Border.
Shakira.
Secure Our Border. If you have any doubt about the importance of securing the border, go watch that Change My Mind.
Yeah.
Go watch you talking to people about this and laying out the case for why a secure border is necessary. And just saying you have a border doesn't really mean you have a border.
Right.
It doesn't do anything to just draw a line in the sand and not defend it.
Right.
I use that Change My Mind thing. It's fucking up my marriage.
Secure our
You should
bedroom,
make me a
change my mind.
BLT. Change my mind.
Yeah, you should say.
She makes a really crappy BLT, and you're like, well, you changed my mind.
Yeah, you changed my mind. Secure my zipper. What? You're gross. You're gross. That's about how it goes. So we also have, by the way, a lot of Republican support, which is often surprising because it's like the world's biggest high school. So the people who backed Abbott, who's a wheelchair guy, you have Glenn Youngkin from Virginia, you have Brian Kemp from Georgia, but then you also have Ron DeSantis, Kristi Noem, Mike Johnson. And of course, this also surprised me, former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley had this to say.
I told them that if they would do this, that South Carolina would wrap their arms around them and take care of them. I now officially work for you. There is nothing that you can need that we won't make sure that we deliver.
Sorry, right clip.
China's throwing people at us left and right. You'll hear more about that soon.
Is that a Chinese flag?
That's a Chinese flag, and
I wish the yellow star is a little more prominent in that shot.
Yeah, and then she looks. She's like, "Isn't there supposed to be another flag?" Oh no, it's just the Chinese flag. Oh, me so sorry. Go bind your feet, you.
Yeah.
Nick rubs off.
Go shoplift.
So, yes, go shoplift.
Yeah, shouldn't you be ripping off a pack of pork chops in public? Flaming.
I don't know. They do a lot of pork. So
that's funny. Oh, sorry.
No, I had nothing.
I'm just saying the Asians contribute so much to.
Yeah.
And we're putting them, making them to be thieves. We don't let them into Harvard.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a big. The Chinese, I know they're buying up land and shit.
No, the Asian Americans who are here,
That's
they're
what
doing a lot.
Yes,
she wants the communists.
No, I understand.
She works for them.
Yeah,
which would almost mean she's a communist. Yeah,
that's the whole idea. I
Nikki
think.
Haley is a communist.
Yes, she is.
Change
All right.
my mind.
Change my mind. Yeah.
No, it's not going to. I don't do it if I know that in good faith you cannot change my mind. Nikki
She
Haley.
doesn't have a red dot. She has a yellow star. Right
Yes,
here.
she does. Yes, she does.
Wow.
And size 2 feet. I don't know why that culture. Can someone out there, Chinese American, like, when did that become sexy to them? Why?
I like a girl with crippled feet.
It's endured lifelong pain from breaking her toes and her foot on it slowly.
You don't like a girl with a big bunion and fucked up. Her feet look like Jurassic Park feet. Oh, that's sexy.
I love it.
I love it.
Like it's a raptor.
Yeah. You know, like twisted toes and shit.
No, well, you know what? I don't know. You know what? The truth is, I'm making a judgment, and I've never spent time around it. It may be one of those things that, hey, I shouldn't take off the table because I may really like it.
Go to any podiatrist around here. Sit in the waiting room for a few minutes.
It'll be fine.
That's what Dick Morris
I used
does.
to
in his
film their
off time.
feet, the women that came in.
Jeez.
Look up this sandal.
Foot binding was viewed as a rite of passage for young girls and was believed to be preparation for puberty, menstruation, and childbirth.
Don't stop there.
It symbolized a girl's willingness to obey, just as it limited the mobility and power of females, kept women subordinate to men.
Hold on. Time out. You think we need a leg up, men?
Yeah, well,
like
2 feet up.
physically over women? Like, oh man, if we don't like break their feet when they're young, they're gonna just run right over us.
Yeah, I guess that's what this.
It's like Chun-Li from Street Fighter.
The Chinese man. That's why she
saying
could kick so fast.
Right.
Yeah.
All men listening, go out the next time you buy him 4 sizes too small.
See what happens.
Let's get a whole national.
No. You got to do it. You got to do it slowly. So
Oh,
they
that's
don't even
true.
notice. It's like half.
That's
a size.
yeah, each
and you
time.
just keep doing it.
And then when she gets pregnant, it's like the Grinch's heart. So back to the constitutionality. But if you have small feet, send pictures.
Purple and veiny.
By the way, we still do have this. Has been going on. What is it? We win a date with
Win a
Steven
date?
Crowder, right? At some point, yeah, that's still going on. Date
Contest?
Steven at louderwithcrowder.com. Yeah,
I want to
you
see
go.
this. I've never
list list your likes, dislikes. I don't love long walks on the beach. I just have to warn you. But we'll go through submissions at some point. Oh, there we go. That's nice. My point is
the little girl.
No, that was
I was like an 11-year-old. What are you, Biden?
Well, she has size 2 feet, so I don't care. It's Kate Bosworth.
And why she? Oh, that was Bosworth staring up at Dan
that's the
Aykroyd.
The truth is, it was ruined for me. Kate Bosworth was adorable until I saw the flippers she was walking on. I was like, what are those skis? Ugh. Gosh. Got one different colored eye. You have no human-sized feet. Ugh. You're way over the hill. All right. Back to the constitutionality here. Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3 of the Constitution. We have Kari Lake coming up in a little bit if she... Hopefully.
Isn't watching.
And it says, no state shall, without the consent of Congress, lay any duty of tonnage, keep troops or ships of war in times of peace, enter into any agreement or compact with another state or with a foreign power, or engage in war unless actually invaded or in such imminent danger as it will not admit of delay. So theoretically, it means that the states can now assist Texas.
Yes.
With the illegal crossings. That means that Arizona can say, hold my whatever it is, tequila. What do they drink there?
Probably tequila.
Probably
Agave,
tequila.
yeah.
Mezcal.
Arizona iced tea.
Mezcal. All right.
That's true. They do have Arizona.
How dare you go with like the basic response?
It's 99 cents. It's 99 cents. And you know what? It doesn't fare badly, Arizona iced tea.
Whatever.
It still holds up.
I'm just saying.
It still holds up, Nick.
I did that to make you sound funny, Joe. Go ahead.
Thank you. It's going to take more than that, Nick.
Yeah. Works like a charm. So other states can say, hey, you know what, Texas, we're going to throw in. And you know what? It would make sense for states to do that if they need to protect their borders. Because if Texas does it and the next state over doesn't do it, guess what? You still don't have a border. So
you have to force New Mexico to put up.
Yeah, and we have this too as
Nobody
far as
wants to live
precedent in Arizona versus the United States. Scalia acknowledged that Article 1 provides, here's a quote, for the state's sovereign interest in protecting their borders. So here is where I find this gets interesting. It kind of puts former Vice President Biden in a corner. And a question to you is, what do you think the Biden administration does here? Really, there are kind of two options, I would say. And I'm sure there's a door number 3, and you'll say it's binary thinking.
2A. 2A.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll talk about
so option 1 is the Biden administration, they can basically do nothing. They can basically do nothing until this goes.
They're good at doing that.
Yeah. Well, this will make them look like the soppy wet bitches that they are. Option 2 would be send in the troops to arrest Abbott. And of course, that would actually put Biden in a situation where he looks like someone trying to directly aid in illegal immigration to the United States, which is not necessarily better. It really kind of is a no-win situation.
Yeah.
All that was required was someone to take action, in this case, a wheelchair guy. And now you end up where Biden is really kind of in a bind. So if he does that, and by the way, we also do have some AI predictive technology. They've simulated what the arrest of Greg Abbott may look like.
Tell me what the hell's going on here. I'll tell you what's going on, bitch. You called me face, so I shot the place up. I know you didn't call me.
Abbott doesn't play.
He does not play around. Let me give you the 2A.
Oh,
right?
my God.
So 2 is that he gets arrested, right? So obviously right there he would do his best to roll away. But nonetheless, if unsuccessful, they could federalize the National Guard or the troops here in Texas. They could federalize like they did in Alabama, right? And if they do that to the Texas...
Well, clarify for people tuning in, who's they?
Yeah, who's they?
So
I was
the
going to
federal government federalizes the
So it sounded like you're saying Abbott federalized.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So that's Joe Biden can do that,
right?
And come in and say, no, you work for me now, right? Basically, like I'm the captain. So he comes in and does that. He's actually, I mean, that is probably the most incendiary thing that you can do,
right?
Which is why I think that one big example that we have is the only one that I can think of. I'm sure that there may be potentially another example out there, but if you do that, you're not just for open borders. You're willing to start a war with a state, essentially.
Right.
Because you're for open borders, because you want to be able to cut down the razor wire that is protecting the border. It doesn't give him any good outs, but this is serious.
Yeah.
Because it's something that Republicans are talking about right now. Donald Trump says that Republicans shouldn't try to solve this problem before the election. I don't think the Republicans could ever solve this problem before the election. No. I don't think you have to send that memo, President Trump. What I do think they need to do, though, is actually, when they get into power, do something now.
Right.
Executive order, build the wall. What is it, $11 billion to $20 billion on the high side of it?
Yeah.
We can do that in
according to NPR, $11 billion. We had an old report. The most generous, I believe, was from NBC or ABC. We'll make all the references available. You can go check the Change My Mind. It was like $20 billion.
Yeah.
$150 billion plus is what it costs taxpayers every year, not to mention the crime.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a border, you don't have a country.
Remember that standoff with the cattle ranchers or something?
Yeah, Bundy.
Yeah.
We're that close to setting off a civil war.
We really are. I mean,
that was the same deal, right? The feds were saying you can't do this on that property, and
about land rights and then mineral rights. It was a little more convoluted. This is about citizens, period, who just want to be able to live in a state where they feel protected.
Right.
I mean, imagine living in southern Texas here.
Yes.
If you're living in that area, you're living on the border. The crime there is unbelievable. It's rampant, and they'll try and tell you, actually, immigrants. These are the lies that they'll use. We've gone through this, and it changed my mind. And this doesn't necessarily address the moral imperative for a nation to protect its borders. They'll say, actually, immigrants here are far more likely to obey the law. No, that's not true. You're talking about legal immigrants, because it's really hard to figure out what kinds of crimes illegal immigrants are committing. And when you actually try and control for illegal immigrants, which is very hard to do, it's many, many multiples more as far as them being likely to commit a crime outside of the crime of coming here illegally. And that affects people, generally speaking, in impoverished neighborhoods, often legal immigrants who live in these neighborhoods quite a bit. So they'll use that argument. And then they'll try and say, oh, well, hold on, don't you have a heart? What about dreamers? They don't believe in deporting illegal immigrants who are literally in prison right now. It's not about dreamers. I was, hold on a second. These people are just seeking a better life. They're seeking asylum. They're not seeking asylum. They're coming from countries that simply suck. They don't have good economic opportunities. They're not being persecuted for their religion. They're not being persecuted for their point of view. They are just coming here for economic opportunity. And this, of course, all of this facilitates an environment where we have more slaves on earth than ever in recorded history. We need to be very, very clear about that. There is nothing compassionate. Do you really think that the vast majority of these people coming over right now are families just seeking a better life? That's not what's happening. You are breeding exploitation. And when that is the environment, of course you end up attracting more criminals, which is what we see everywhere that we have porous borders. None of that matters in the sense that it's all a moot point if you just agree that it's a nation's job to protect the nation.
Yeah.
This would qualify.
But we know the Biden administration and people like them hate this place. And they're hell-bent on it. And they didn't even have to hide it.
Right.
They said, we're going to fill this place with people from third world shitholes. We're going to have all the votes for the next whatever. I mean, this has been in play, this plan, for a long time, and it's finally coming to fruition.
Right.
And we're standing around with our thumbs up our asses going, oh, is that the federal job or is that the...
Right.
So, I mean, Jesus.
And then they want to do everything they can to suppress Cubans.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, we want all the, not the people who really, really hate communism, whose dad was arrested because he played the saxophone. We don't go back.
Yeah. I thought when you show those clips of the border there, I thought that was the opening of the New York Marathon. That's what it looked like.
Exactly.
70,000 different ethnicities.
I thought it was World War Z, like where the people are trying to get into this. Like, but there's a wall there, I think. So that would be
that helps it.
And Kari is coming on here in just a minute, but I think you can't underscore the point that you made enough. This is allowing all of the worst forms of crime and debauchery and exploitation that you can think of. The human trafficking side, the fentanyl that is killing people left and right in this country, the ability for people to come in and have child sex slaves, the ability for people to come in and be taken advantage of, even if there's no slavery at that point. They're just taken advantage of because they don't get to use the system, and so they can't report a crime when it happens to them. They can't report a boss that says, you know what, I'm keeping half your paycheck. Sorry about that. Do you want a job tomorrow? I got 50 other people standing in line.
Right.
It allows for all of that. Exactly, right? It allows for all of that. And all you have to do, a very simple thing, is close the border, and then guess what you can do? You can put the resources that used to go to cutting razor wire, because that's how you secure the border, apparently.
Yeah.
You can put it into the processing of people who come here legally, because right now, 10 years down the line.
I don't even want legal immigrant. Enough.
Well, no,
enough.
Quick
poll. What do you think? Would you rather be tripped up in razor wire or barbed wire? What do you think's worse?
Barbed. I would rather be barbed.
You'd rather be barbed?
100% barbed.
Why?
100%.
Why?
Because I've been in barbed. I haven't been in razor. Razor sounds bad.
Yeah, razor would be
You've
way
been in
worse.
barbed.
You've been in barbed wire?
I've gotten caught in barbed wire. Haven't we all, boys?
Wait. How did this happen, Mr. Boy
let the
Scout?
man who hasn't cast the first stone.
Yeah, what were you doing? Where's my
How'd you
stone?
get bounce? How'd you get enmeshed in barbed wire?
Yeah,
Tell me you got that.
I think a girl had a restraining order against him in college.
Exactly.
My buddy had a ranch that was like 30 minutes away. We'd go out there and ride horses, like bunch of guys.
Okay,
from high
Mr.
school
Costner.
and girls.
Homo.
They were ladies.
Yeah, okay.
And they had barbed wire, and so occasionally, you're like on the fence line or something like that, and you get nicked by it, or
nicked by it is not getting entangled in it.
Well, I wasn't crawling into another country, and
I was hoping that you were riding a horse and didn't realize a perimeter and just got
thrown into it.
clotheslined. Oh God! Barbed wire.
Have you seen my barbed wire, scar?
Is there much of a difference?
Do you have a barbed wire scar?
I don't. No,
you don't.
Yeah.
No. Barbed wire is it's supposed to stay in you though, right? And razor wires are supposed to cut you.
Razor wire just slices you to pieces. Barbed wire, you get caught on, and
Yeah,
you
barbed
kinda
wire
pull
is
it
more
out.
pokey.
Yeah,
Razor is
yeah.
more slicey.
I don't know what's worse. Have people
Slicey.
comment. Well, throw it to a poll.
Comment.
I really don't know.
Barbed wire's dirtier. I feel like you'd get tetanus from barbed
Yeah,
wire.
you definitely get tetanus.
Yeah.
From
You're not going to get it from something slicing into you. It's dirtier. That's your problem.
Well, it's like a fishing.
Tetanus is your issue.
It's like a fishing lure.
This barbed wire is filthy.
I'm going to the razor wire.
I'm bleeding out right now, but I am going to have tetanus.
I'm never eating here again. I'm going to clean your barbed
I
wire.
have standards.
That's what you do with what I see. What are you doing with what I don't see? This barbed wire is disgusting. And then if you're poor, you just break glass on the top of the fence. Right? That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
You just put it up there and glue
Yeah,
it
you just
down.
break some glass.
Yeah.
The problem is it's not a deterrent because people don't see it.
Well, that's even better.
Yeah,
They go to try to climb the
they're
wall, and
already
they're like,
there. And then,
that's dirty pool.
and then the damage is done.
Oh, this is broken, dirty
Yeah.
glass.
So I guess it's just one of those things that you do just, so
For funsies.
deep down, you kind of just can picture the smile.
Here's
on
an
their face.
idea. We have weapons, flamethrowers.
Yeah.
I'm dead serious. I don't get.
Have you ever seen Congo? Something along those lines.
I laugh. Even when Trump was for the wall and stuff, I went along because I love Trump and stuff. But I just laugh at the concept of a wall. If you're really serious about keeping people out of
at mines and a perimeter because of Cubans trying to get into Guantanamo Bay.
So we do it at Gitmo?
Well, I don't know if they still have landmines, but I do know that they have all kinds of razor wire fences because Cubans would rather be in Guantanamo Bay prison than actually live out there in Cuba.
I've been there. I did a USO show there.
Oh yeah, and Gitmo,
Beautiful.
There's that one place where they have the was it not the pot pie or the pot roast?
Yeah.
It's a lot. And then there's a
basketball courts.
Sounds amazing.
That's what I'm just saying. It's like a pub, but their pot roast is good.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sunsets, beaches.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Did you do the Mongolian barbecue night? Did you do it with the officers and they go out there in the big drum?
No, we didn't.
Oh.
No.
Anyway, it's a fun gig. It's a fun gig, Gitmo.
We did a sock hop thing. It was very gay.
Yes, well, we're out there with the Navy. So, all right, hey, look, we do have her here as a guest, but I want to give you an update. We talked about this yesterday. So then after our show yesterday, right now it's 10:05 Central God's time, so 11:05 Eastern Satan's time. And we played the audio for you, but after we played the audio on the show, Dewitt, right, the Arizona Republican chair, Jeff Dewitt, resigned from his position. So really quickly, before we bring her on, let me play the audio one more time. After this audio, the man resigned. Let's hit play and then bring on our lovely guest.
So what do they want? What do they want me to do?
You want me to stay out for 2 years. But I'm gonna tell you what I can offer you. But I said you can do whatever you want. It's a talking head, this and that. So the ask of me was, it's kind of funny. So the ask I got today from back east was, it has to stay between us. Is there any companies out there or something that could just put her on the payroll and give her to keep her out? And I said, well, what are you willing to do? Like, whatever we need to do.
This is about defeating Trump. And I think that's a bad thing for our country.
Is there a number at which
I can be bought?
not be bought?
That's what it's about.
You can take a pause for a couple of years.
No.
And then go right back to what you're doing.
No. 10 million, 20 million, 30, no. A billion, no. This is not about money. This is about our country.
There you go. That is a bad lady in a good way. Please welcome Kari Lake. And you can follow her at Kari Lake on X, and just support her everywhere. Mrs. Lake, yes, you are on. By the way, while we were getting ready, I saw you put the powder on. I love how it's okay. But
just trying to make myself look a little better here. It's early.
It made zero difference. I mean that in the best way. You already looked fine, and you did this. I'm like, she looks the same. You just wake up like this.
No, I made a huge difference. I had a little too much blush on one side, and I was like, okay, I'm going to just fix that right now.
Oh, blush is a cruel mistress. I know that too. So, Kari Lake, first off, where's the best place for people right now to support you? Because I know you have a lot going on. You've been on the show so many times.
Thanks for asking. KariLake.com, KariLake.com, and you can find out where I stand on all the issues, what my plans are. I want to go to Washington, D.C., and help drain the swamp, and you can tell there's a big swamp there, and get some of these great policies that we saw under President Trump, get them solidified into law so we don't have to worry about another Joe Biden coming in and destroying our country.
Well, okay, and I want to get to that because obviously we're going to be talking about the 2024 Senate race, and I don't really talk politics so much on the show, and really this is more of a cultural issue, and it's a symptom of something that we see at large, both in conservative media and with these Republican PACs. I said this yesterday. And I would, if I'm incorrect, you tell me. This was recorded. This made it out there. So this is a shakedown. Let's be clear. This was a shakedown. And often when people hear about a shakedown, as we just did yesterday with Dewitt, who resigned, it's the last shakedown that someone was willing to possibly endure, and you had enough. I'm willing to bet this is not the first time something like this has happened or someone has approached you like this, correct?
Not like that. That was kind of extra special, I guess you could say. I have had other things where you just go, wow, this is just a slimy, disgusting world. Politics is. I came from journalism, and that's pretty corrupt as well. It's propaganda. So I've had other things happen in politics where I just look at my husband or one of my team members and go, "Can you believe that?" But this one, to be honest, I hadn't even re-listened to this since it happened. Something struck me this week. I just got the feels, and I went, I want to listen to that again. And I dug it out and I played it. We were at the dinner table, and I said, I just want to hear how that conversation went down again. And my daughter, she's 20, she was sitting there, and we played it, and we were just shocked.
Right.
I remembered it. I've described it. I've talked about it in speeches, but hearing it again, and my daughter looked at me and said, "Mom, what are you going to do about that?" She said, "Does that guy still have a job with the Republican Party?" And I said, "Yeah, he still runs the Arizona GOP." She says, "He's unethical. That's terrible, Mom." And so I had my daughter's guilt on me.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons that is out now.
Can I ask you, first off, were you the one recording when that took place?
Yes, I was recording. I'd gotten a call. I was home. It was back in, I think it was the last day of February, the first day of March of last year. And I'd gotten a call from Jeff, and he said, "Hey, I'm real close to your house. I'm like right outside your neighborhood. I got to come over. Are you around?" And I said, "I'm really busy right now, to be honest. I'm finishing my book. I'm packing for CPAC." And he goes, "It'll just be real short, 5-10 minutes." And I'm writing.
Old doesn't get the message. Jeff sounds like him.
I said, "Jeff, if this is about talking me out of running for Senate, because some other people in kind of his circle have been trying to talk me out of running for Senate, I'm not really interested." And he said, "Well, no. I just, it'll be 5 minutes, but I can't talk to you about what I have to say. It can't be done on the phone. I have to do it in person," which is always like a big red flag that goes up, right? It's like, what? So I thought, well, maybe there's going to be a threat. I just didn't know what to expect. So I just flipped on a little microphone and invited him into my home. And he sat at my dining room table, and that's what transpired. And I was really shocked. I was horrified at the time. I'm like, is this really happening? This is, am I on candid camera? What's going on here?
Right.
But it wasn't until I re-listened to it, 11 months later, just earlier in the week, in front of my daughter, and she heard it and my husband heard it, and we went, "Oh my gosh, this is absolutely bribery. This is bribery."
Yeah. It's not only bribery, it's combined with intimidation. When someone is saying, well, a lot of these people would like it if you stepped back. And so in one hand, you could have some money, or on the other hand, you now know that there are these powerful people who really don't want you popping your head up. And it's almost like they're trying to give you a choice while letting you know that you have no choice. That's what really bothers me.
Well, it just shows you wonder why more good people don't get into politics. If this is happening to everybody who dares to step foot in politics, this is why there's very few people. And this is why they hate Trump. I know you guys don't want to get political, but
no, it's fine.
Washington, D.C. hates Donald Trump. Yep. I want to send people to Washington, D.C. that Washington, D.C. hates. In this audio recording, you heard about the back scratching club. I'm not going to join the back scratching club.
Right.
I'm going to join the ass kicking club. Okay.
Yes.
And we're not going to be scratching backs. And they already don't want me. That's fine. The people do.
Right.
And we need to get some people who are in D.C. who are actually going to do as our founding fathers envisioned and work for we the people.
Yes. And you know what? This is a big problem. No, when I say, there are important cultural tie-ins just because people sometimes don't think about micropolitics and how it affects them. This also happens, we've talked about this in conservative media, when you're talking about these PACs, right? These are 501c4s. A lot of these entities out there have 501c3s, and there are a few key donors across the board in the Republican side of the movement. And that's why so many candidates look the same. I mean, you were there when, did stand up at the Arizona, I don't know if it was the Federal Theater. You saw how many people were there. And that is not something that any politician or any PAC would like to see happen, right? They would say, this is far too rambunctious. This is far too edgy. But guess what? The people do. And it's a real problem because so in doing all of those shows, and you were there, I've never once in my life met a Lindsey Graham fan, a Mitch McConnell fan, a Paul Ryan fan, a Mitt Romney fan, ever. I've met plenty of Kari Lake fans. I've met plenty of Donald Trump fans. And yes, Ron DeSantis fans. But the truth is these candidates all look the same because there are a few key people who pick them. And the same thing often happens in media. It happens in media, too, where it becomes very monotonous. And it seems to me like you ran into this sort of, well, they tried to stonewall
Well,
you.
and you exposed what was happening in media, even in alternative media.
Yeah.
You're going to go work for this group or this conglomerate. We're starting to get alternative media that's kind of growing and becoming bigger, and you're going to have to push kind of their line,
right,
and what they want. And you lose your freedoms when you do that. But this just goes to show you how deep the corruption in D.C. is. I don't know. Somebody said, who was it back east? Who are these people? I've thought about it. I've come up with people it could be. But the sad thing is it could literally be hundreds of people or entities.
Right.
And most people don't have the ability. A lot of these politicians, maybe they don't have the megaphone that I have where they can say, look what just happened.
Right. Yeah.
They just don't have the ability.
Well, then what they'll do is they'll attack the messenger, right? And they'll say, oh, I can't believe she would record him. That was a private conversation, rather than addressing the content. So I'm glad that he resigned. That's good. He's gone now. And I would assume that he, obviously, did he fully admit that it was the direct result of this, or did he just try and do it quietly, not acknowledge it?
I don't know. He wrote a 2-page diatribe that I tried to get through, and I was like, where is the... I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. Mm-hmm. Arizona, I'm going to work to make amends and make this better. And I'm resigning because we need the Republican Party to be strong in this most pivotal year going into the 2024 election, where we either keep our republic or lose it.
Yeah.
And he behaved unethically. He didn't mention that. He tried to say, like, this is a normal conversation between friends. Stephen, I have a lot of friends.
Yeah.
I've never had a conversation, or this is a normal business conversation. How many of you out there work for a business or run a business where this would be acceptable conversation?
Yeah. Also, I'm willing to bet he's not a friend. That's something else they'll say, right? We're friends. I can't believe I'm willing to bet you and Jeff Dewitt not friends.
No. After this happened, I was shocked. It was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. And him acting like it didn't happen and just like, oh, hey, how you doing? I'm like, dude, do you not remember? Do you not remember that conversation at my dining room table? Get away from me.
Yeah, I know. Plus, I think he's a wiener. All right, let me ask you this. What are your plans for the 2024? I know there's a Senate race. Obviously, we're talking about nationally. Yeah. A lot of people are talking about Donald Trump's VP pick. Your name has been thrown around. What are you thinking? What is Kari Lake going to be doing?
I'm thinking about our country right now. It weighs very heavy on my heart of how we get through this very tumultuous year and if we can survive on the other side of it. And so I think the best place for me is the U.S. Senate, frankly. We got to get the U.S. Senate in the hands of the Republicans. We can't have Chuck Schumer in charge of the Senate and President Trump in the White House. We've got to have some backup for him there so he can get his judicial picks, his Supreme Court picks, his cabinet picks. And we have a great opportunity in Arizona to take back the Senate seat from a liberal who's sitting in that seat right now. So I think this is really a great opportunity. I think the country needs to make sure that we have a strong Senate. The Senate is very important, and I think that's a great fit for me. I see myself standing on the Senate floor on Inauguration Day in January of 2025 and working for the people.
Standing on a Jeff Dewitt skin rug. That's a figurative. That's a joke, people. Okay, just to be clear.
That'd be pretty slimy. I might slip and fall on that one.
Like Home Alone Senate. And I know you're. Let me ask you one thing though, because some people say, obviously, with your last election, how confident are you that the election interference, the shenanigans that took place in the last election that you encountered, that those won't take place when you run for office again? Because you have a lot of people out there who I don't think they're being defeatists if they look at what happened with you, they look at what happened with Donald Trump, and they go, yeah, but maybe it doesn't matter if we vote anyway because look at what they pulled.
Well, this is why they don't like populists. They've been messing with elections forever. And when you get a populist on the ticket, like Donald Trump, if you get the two mamby-pambies like you described, and then the result is 51-49, you go, well, okay, they were both kind of Right. When you get a populist like Trump who's filling stadiums and the people are for him and they're flying Trump flags on their trucks, and they were doing the same with our race for governor, flying Kari Lake flags and showing up in huge numbers, then when they skew the election and mess with it, nobody believes it. That's why they hate populists. So we haven't fixed it. You're right. We haven't fixed it. And unfortunately, the people who've taken over our government here are a bunch of corrupt people as well. But we're making what we've done is we've educated the public as to what they're doing. So they got to come up with new ways each time. And I think they're worried about how they're going to cheat or rig the next election, because that's why they're trying to lock Trump up. That's why they're coming after me.
Right.
The people who ran the election, a government official, suing me now for defamation for exposing how they rigged our election.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, they want to silence us. They want to scare us. They want to make us penniless and destitute. And I'm not going to shut my mouth when there's wrongdoing in our country. So we're going to keep moving forward every day. We just pray to God, use us today the way you see fit, and we are all yours, and we want to help take this country back.
Well, I appreciate it. I want less shutting of your mouth, but more of Nikki Haley's. Someone duct tape that shut. Kari Lake, thank you so much. We always love having you here. I know you have other things to go on to. Thank you for taking the time.
All right. Thank you, Stephen. God bless you.
Be well. This has been Kari Lake.
Wow.
I have an idea.
What?
I have an idea. I wanted to tell her, but we'll tell her offline here. So, Pops Crowder, make sure you get this to her. We can do this, or she can do this. We can send back scratchers to all of Congress that say, scratch your own damn back, courtesy of Kari Lake. I think that would be a pretty good thing to do.
You always had a calling as a novelty salesman.
I did, yes.
We'll he's got some ideas sometimes.
He's an idea man. He's an idea man.
Yeah,
well, they said
note to self. Call Starkist.
I had a couple more things. We'll talk about it after.
All right. Well, you know what? Maybe we won't.
No.
So, hey. If you want to join Mug Club, we were going to have Kari Lake, but I know that we went over time, so we'll have her on another time.
Yeah.
We're going to do It's Chat Thursday on Mug Club, which is where we just rapid fire take as much of your chat as possible. And of course, if you join Mug Club right now, you can go mugless for $9 a month, but you join annually, you get the mug, you actually become a part of the club, and that's what supports everything that we do here, the investigative journalism, and putting together, a special like Nick DePaulo's, which is exclusive to Mug Club, starting tonight. So, YouTube, I don't know why you're still here. You can click that button if you're on Rumble and continue watching. Thank you, Rumble. YouTube, does anyone want to say it?
Yes, piss off.
Look, a lot of work goes into this. We couldn't do it without you, Mug Club. $89 annually if you aren't subscribed.
I just want to take a moment to say Joe Biden does not care about black people.